Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us here today at the PPMA webinar. So my name is Stephen Hoban. I'm Service Director at Commercial Services Group, and we sponsor the PPMA and this award with the PPMA. So Commercial Services Group, I'll be very brief because it isn't about us today. It's about the fantastic submissions that we've got for this award. But in very brief, we are the commercial trading arm of Kent County Council. So we're very embedded in local authority and the commercial aspect or commercial services that we provide to our local authority partners. So among that, we offer a wide range of HR services, and we run a leadership development course. So the breeding of the new skills and new leadership for the future of local authorities very, very close to us. So thus our interest in this award. So without further ado, I'd like to, in no particular order, but move through to give our the submissions from Rochdale an opportunity to speak, and then Together for Children with their partnership with OCM to outline their submissions and talk through in detail their leadership program and coaching and leadership programs respectively. So if that's okay, are you okay, Martin from Rochdale, if I come to you first?
Absolutely, Stephen. Yeah, I'm absolutely
Brilliant.
spot on. Can I just check everybody can see that, please?
Yep, all good here.
Fantastic. Right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Lovely to be here. If I disappear, I'll just go into the dice because obviously we're very sustainable conscious, and the lights are on the timer here, so it may just go out at some point. It doesn't mean I've attempted to leave the building. I'm the head of workforce strategy at Rochdale. My background's in OD, coaching and coaching supervision and L&D consultancy. I'm married to Danielle. I'm a father of two boys. I'm a drummer, and I'm soon to be retired as well. So lots of lovely life events happening around me. But I'm delighted to be here to talk about some of the work we've been doing and the submission we made to the PPMA award, for which we were really proud to be shortlisted. So, there we go. So in the beginning then, my background in leadership development comes through the higher education sector, the NHS, local government, bit of time doing my own work as well, mainly public courses in the Middle and Far East. When I came to Rochdale, there was those of you who've had any background in local government will know there was a period early in the 2010s on the back of austerity where there was swinging cuts in a lot of local authorities. And part of the swinging cuts that they had here pre-me was that they decided what they do is get rid of the whole L&D function, get rid of the whole OD function, and everything was relying to that time corporately on an e-learning platform for mandatory training. There was a rump of training provision in the children's services and adult services, but apart from that, there was nothing. So I was in the very fortunate position, basically, of whatever I did was going to look good because there was nothing. So I took full advantage of that. And the OD team, I was the OD team when I arrived, and people would come looking for the team, and I would happily say, that's me. And the OD team now there's 4 of us in the OD team, and I'll tell you about what we've been doing since then. So the ask when I went to leadership team for the first time after arriving was to look at developing the capacity and capability of the leadership talent in the organisation. The concern was that in the ever-changing world of local government, in a VUCA environment, the volatility, etc., that we'd need leaders that were able to embrace the change and challenge and be able to work in a capable and developmental way. So there was a focus on developing the talent that we had in the organisation. As you can see from the picture there with the coins, I was asked to do that at very little cost or no cost at all, really, if I could get away with it, by using and maximising the internal resources we have. And people who would come along and do stuff on the cheap at that time. We've moved on a bit from that now, but that was the kind of the setup initially. Clearly, what we didn't want to do is we didn't want to do any sheep dipping. I've worked in organisations where sheep dipping in terms of leadership and management development was quite often the preferred way. My experience of that was that people tended just to get the same, everybody got the same thing. Line managers were barely involved, and it really became a sort of tick box exercise of, oh, look, we've done that. So one of the things that we're really keen to do when we developed the programme, the Leadership Academy, as we called it here at Rochdale, was that we were looking for an emphasis at the beginning of the process on diagnostics and ensuring that people were really prepared to learn rather than just throwing a programme at people and saying, do you like the look of this? And then if they came along, that was great, and hopefully they get something out of it. So we're also really keen as well to involve managers in that process. So an example of diagnostics that we've got in use at the moment, we have personality questionnaire. It's one that we also use quite often in our senior recruitment process. And we also have a leadership styles inventory. We use the ones developed by the Hague Group currently. We've had others along the way, but that's where we settle at the moment. So we are unashamedly wanting to make sure that people spend a fair amount of time thinking about their development in the round and working on that with the line managers. So one of the things that we asked managers to ensure that they used prior to the recruitment stage was the talent conversation tool that we have. We used to have something called a personal development review, PDR. We did some research into how people felt about the PDR, and there was quite a lot of dissatisfaction with it in terms of, again, people thought this was pretty much a tick box exercise. The conversations tend to be fairly surface level. There wasn't much by the way of getting into the detail or getting granular about people's development needs, about what's good for them and for the organisation. So through the talent conversation tool that we now have, there's a lot more relational work in that. There's a lot more depth in the conversations and the outcomes from it. And of course, because of that, we still have areas of resistance in certain parts of the organisation where people, for various reasons, don't feel comfortable in talking in that way to their colleagues. But overall, and in the vast majority of cases, people really rate it a lot more highly than what we had previously. So their own ideas, the diagnostic, the conversations with the line managers were things that we encouraged people to right at the outset. So they came to the programme ready to talk about their development objectives. So here was something that we could measure from the beginning of the programme to the end of the programme. And so people could help us with the evaluation, but also in terms of reflecting on their own development in terms of how far they'd come during that journey with us. Some of the principles that underpinned this then, it was that we had the support of the leadership team. The leadership team were the backers for this, and they follow through on that by we have 2 or 3 directors on our academy board, which is the body that is the governance of the programme, as you like, is the body that I go to demonstrate that the programme is providing value, that the academy provides value, and then there's continuity in terms of funding the things that we want them to fund through that process. I've mentioned that line managers are actually involved. One of the things that we were very keen to do was to put coaching at the core of this. So our line managers and our delegates both receive coaching skills training together. Conversational coaching skills is the way we badge that up, and they do that as a team. That serves a function in that the coachee, the delegate, knows what they should be expecting from the line manager in terms of support through the process, and the delegates themselves, who are all in turn managers, can then use and reflect their coaching skills with their own teams, which has been one of the things that people have reported back is one of the elements that they found the most useful, and has sort of embedded that culture into the organisation for us. Managers and delegates get a joint briefing. So there's an ask of delegates and line managers, which we do at the outset. And there's a project during the first year with the academy, which is people taking a piece of work as a reflective piece of work that they can talk about in terms of what they set themselves up to do and what they learned from that particular project. Obviously, it needs to have a impact on the service. So it's a project that's done for the purpose of checking that people have followed through on the learning from the programme. There are also an access to, through our levy funding, to an accredited qualification after the year one. And we've also accepted that people might leave the organisation as a result of getting this development, but fine, because people will come in, and the actual access to this programme is something that people will talk about, and hopefully there'll be payoff in that way. So it's for everybody. It's not stratified. Team leaders and assistant directors attend the programme together, and it's linked to our talent conversation, and it's helping us to develop a community of learners. So when people finish the first year, it's one of those things you sign up for, you can't get out of it. As long as you're with us at Rochdale, you're in the academy. You can only leave the academy when you leave the organisation. The actual programme itself, the modular bit, it was about just it's very discursive. It gets heated sometimes. It's exactly what I want. I want people challenging each other in that setting, obviously in a very respectful and focused way. We talk about that as well. So as well as the coaching skills, some of the hot topics at the moment around systems thinking, strategic thinking. We have a brilliant module on serious Lego that one of our academic, Dr. Laura Andrews, comes down from York University and delivers, which is very popular. Stuff on transformation and change, mainly around Microsoft 365 at the moment. And then other stuff you might expect to see us discussing around delegation, difficult conversations, inclusive leadership, etc. A new one this year is Good Help. So Good Help is about the way we try and align our services to providing things that our citizens need and want, rather than things that we obviously think should be helpful. This programme this year is not the same as last year's, and next year's will be slightly different, because we like to evolve it in terms of what's happening around us to make sure that it remains meaningful for people. And we also have run leadership development groups, which more commonly might be referred to as action learning sets, but we thought leadership development groups sounded more like what people would want to do, and more inclusive. So they carry on beyond the first year for those that want it, and they've proved really successful for those people who like that kind of thing. Regarding the evaluation of the programme, 90% thought it was over the last programme thought it was good or very good. The figures are fairly consistent throughout, but because of our recruitment process, it's no surprise really, because the people that we get tend to be enthusiasts for their own development. And we did say at the outset that we don't want anybody who you're trying to fix. If you've got a manager who's performing poorly or a leader's performing poorly, then there are other processes for dealing with that. Send us your good people, send us your people who are desperate to develop themselves. And that's in the main what we've had. And we asked them, what have you developed in terms of your own skills through the programme? Or what have you developed the most? And the answers we got were knowledge 55%, skills 84%. And the one I'm most interested in is behaviours in 79%, because a really good leadership programme, in my view, should help people to develop the behaviours to become better leaders. So that's all well and good and very satisfying. And following their attendance in the first year, our groups are invited to develop, design and run a leadership conference for us. We're up to our 5th leadership conference now, and they've been great in terms of helping to inspire others to come on the programme, but also to get people together to share as a community of leaders in the organisation, which is one of the things we're very proud of. So destinations then, what happened to the folks who've been on it? Because this is the best evaluation as far as I'm concerned. We're actually really clear of ROI with regards to this, but the destinations are 40%, 60% of the people who've been through the programme so far have got a more senior position than when they started with us. Two of our former alumni, one is now a director of corporate services here at Rochdale, and another is a director of children's services in an interim basis in Borough currently. But within that, there is also numerous people who've got some more senior positions with us. But the split is 30% have got internal promotions with us, 16% have got external promotions with us. And that's great, as long as people are using what they've attained and managed to progress in their careers. That works really well for us. 3% of people had the audacity and rudeness to retire after the programme, which is, I don't think it's a direct result, but it's actually what happened. But as you would imagine, the current cohort, there's only one person who's got a more senior position through the cohort. As we go back in time to the initial cohort, the Genesis cohort, which is around about 2017, there's a greater proportion as you go through time who've got more senior positions. I'm not able to tell you for certain, obviously, whether those people would have got those promotions if they hadn't engaged with the academy, but enough people report to us, because we do check in with them around the destination stats. Enough people check in with us and say, I believe that the programme helped me to further my career, and that'll do for me. And then in terms of the evolving offer we've got, we started off with the academy, and we moved on now. We also offer an aspiring leaders programme, a new managers programme, which is more practically based and more HR based, an essential management skills programme, and a systems leadership pilot is concluding November. So this is for people who work across the system. They don't necessarily manage anybody, but they have to persuade and influence others in other parts of the system, which has been a fantastic pilot, and will carry on next year. Fantastic in terms of the sense of the people that we got on it and how they've engaged with it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes my presentation.
Martin, thank you. Thank you very much for talking us through that. And I think everybody will agree there's some really interesting stuff being done around, the role of coaching, fluid leadership, behavioural focused development of future leaders, and a 46%, promotion one way or another, I think is an admirable stat. And equally, just moving on to the second submission, from Together with Children and their partner OCM, I think again is very, very coaching orientated around leadership, but I'll let them explain. So if I could introduce Angela, Jenny and Ed to talk through their submission, if that's okay.
Ed, I think you're still on mute.
We left Ed in charge of technology. Braver man than me.
Okay.
I'm just glad it wasn't me, Ed.
Yeah, thank you. 1 minute. There we go. Can anyone see that?
Not yet.
No.
I can't. There we go. Something happening.
See it now?
Yep, you might just want to go on to presentation view. There you go.
Excellent. Finally got the technology working. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Ed Pastor. I'm the Chief Exec at the OCM. I'm delighted to be here today with my colleague Jenny Whitfield, one of our consultant coach mentors, and indeed Angela Bremner, who's the strategic lead people at Together with Children. We're here today to share a story of our partnership, one that not only was wonderfully recognised by the PPMA, but was also highly commended by the CIPD and their People Management Awards, with the Best L&D Initiative in the public sector. And we also won the Brandon Hall Group Best Advance in Coaching and Mentoring Award as well. So our story, it's really one of cultural and behavioural transformations, but with social impact right at its core. It's a story of innovation, but perhaps most importantly, it's a story of how coaching and mentoring, when delivered well, really has the power to transform lives. at the OCM, our ambition for coaching is huge. We're passionate. We passionately believe in its power to transform the lives of individuals, teams, and organisations. We'd been hunting for a client with social impact at its core to demonstrate that transformative potential, which we know that it can. So we've been searching for a pro bono and a not-for-profit project where we could unleash the full range of coaching services that we offer as an organisation. That's why when we learned about the work of Together for Children and the journey they'd been on, we knew we'd found a great partner for us. As I said, Together for Children had been on a significant journey of change since before we met them, actually. From being placed in special measures by Ofsted, Jill Colbert and her leadership team embarked on a cultural transformation project that gradually changed the culture, culminating in an outstanding state rating. It's really quite a journey. Our challenge was to design a holistic coaching program that helped sustain that transformation that Jill and her team had started and catalyze a continued shift in their culture to one where coaching was right at the heart of it. By embedding coaching skills broadly across the organisation, this would act as an enabler for their new performance management strategy and support the cultural shifts that we're looking for. So, but all the time, from our perspective, what we're thinking about is how can we achieve the greatest impact together with children? So for us, identifying and measuring relevant success criteria was really, really important. You know, how do we know that we've actually been successful in enabling the shifts to take place? So what we did is we agreed to focus on some key metrics where increasing leadership capability and improving the quality of conversations through coaching would significantly contribute to shifts in staff survey scores that were already in existence. So for us, if we could evidence increases in things like staff engagement, in morale, if we can help improve retention rates, we could increase well-being and reduce grievances over the longer term, we know that we would have achieved our goals and our ambitions for the programme as a whole. Jenny, would you like to talk about what we actually delivered to achieve that?
Sure, thanks, Ed. So hi everyone, I'm Jenny. I'm a coach and a leadership coach and facilitator at the OCM, and I led the programme from the OCM side with Together for Children. So a slightly busy slide, but it shows you the full 7-month programme in its sort of totality, and I'll outline it briefly. So at the beginning, we began to first of all really get to know Together for Children. So the alignment phase, to really understand the context that they were working in, to make sure that, as I said, this multi-layered holistic programme that we were designing with them was really aligned to the broader organisational strategy, and to make sure that obviously it had the greatest impact for the organisation, but then ultimately the children and families of Sunderland who they were working with. We wanted to make sure, as I said, that it had the greatest possible impact. So we began the programme by using 2 of our master accredited coaches, both of whom had also been members of executive boards, to deliver some senior leadership team coaching. So we started with that team coaching for the senior leadership team to both make sure that there was a shared clarity of the overall destination for the organisation around this programme within that senior leadership team, as well as making sure that they understood and they were committed to their own roles in leading these cultural shifts that were needed. And we partnered that with some executive coaching for the chief executive, but also for all the members of the senior leadership team as well, to embed that at a more personal, more individual level. Then the next 2 phases focused on developing the coaching skills of all of the leaders and managers within Together for Children, and that included the CEO and the senior leadership team. So this gave those leaders an increased awareness of coaching's potential to solve some strategic issues that were the part of the changes that they needed around engagement and around productivity, and also enabled them, of course, to use a coaching approach to improve individual and team performance and to have those really kind of quality performance management conversations. So altogether, we trained over 120 people using one of 2 programs. So either the digital electric online program, which was actually was the first digital EMCC accredited coaching skills program, or a slightly lighter touch digital program again, which was the coaching fundamentals program. So the cohorts are the more senior leaders, had electric, which was fully online, and then the team leaders went through the coaching fundamentals program, also all online. But these were also accompanied by tailored action learning workshops. And we called them, action learning workshops, because that's what we were doing. And that was to further embed the skills that they had learned on the online program by practicing their coaching skills and reflecting on and sharing their learning and progress in those workshops, as well as allowing us to really tailor those workshops for some of the particular needs of Together for Children around using coaching for performance management, or using coaching for having challenging conversations, or using coaching in offering feedback. So for those that completed electric, they had some great coaching skills, but they also actually gained coaching accreditation at a foundation level. So we wanted to make sure that this skills development was really fully embedded into that organisational needs, and it didn't feel like that sort of sheep dip approach. So we wanted to make sure that it wasn't just, just another thing that managers were asked to do. So we made sure that we had lots of research at the beginning to partner with Together for Children, and then had lots of ongoing conversations with them as we went through the programme, to make sure it was really tailored to create the performance management and cultural shifts that they needed to make. Yes, Angela, I'll hand over to you for our for the impact.
Yes, in terms of the impact, I mean, it was felt across the whole organisation. Many of our managers weren't familiar with coaching before our partnership with the OCM commenced. The organisation, as Ed referred to, has been on quite the journey. We were inadequate. We're owned by Sunderland City Council, but we were actually taken separate to the council, and we formed our own organisation, which was quite a unique model, providing statutory social care, early help, along with a number of support functions. So back in 2019, the culture and the climate of the organisation, as you can see from this, was somewhat different. And I think, it's been a journey. It's we can't claim the success is wholly down to the coaching programme. There's been a number of other interventions across the organisation, but I cannot recommend coaching enough in terms of the improvement to staff retention. The staff actually refer to Together for Children now as an organisation that they want to be working in. We've had people leave us and then come back to us. The impact it has actually had for retention, which as colleagues working across local government will know, recruitment and retention is a hugely difficult area for us. To try and actually recruit people into the organisation is a challenge. Never mind then once they're here with us to keep them. And I would say that coaching really has just improved those conversations between managers and their staff, and it really has sort of moved us away from those old-fashioned task-based conversations towards a much more genuine and authentic interest in cultivating that relationship. And as a result, as you can see from the stats, that our communication levels have increased, that colleagues are far more aware of the training and development opportunities and the investment that they can have in themselves, that senior leaders make the effort to listen to staff at Together for Children. That has been a huge increase. But probably more importantly, that the morale across the organisation has grown considerably. And as I say, that's a multitude of factors, but I think when you bring coaching in, it does actually transform the culture and the climate. We have in the past had considerable difficulties. At one point, we had a 43% reliance on agency social workers. And in other local authorities, and I hope we're not doing you a disservice here, but it tends to hover around the 20+ mark. We don't have any agency social workers anymore now in Sunderland. So that has been people want to stay with us. Our turnover rates have decreased. At one point we were spending £7 million on agency social workers in a year, but because we've cultivated an organisation where people want to come and work for us and stay, and they're very supportive managers and stable workforce, we've been able to reduce that down considerably. We've also got the lowest rate we've ever had of cared for children in the company's history. And we've got more and more of our young people in higher education and apprenticeships across England, England's average over the last year. And we've got fewer than 5% of cared for children who've experienced change in their social worker in 12 months. And again, that is because we've got a considerably more stable workforce. Stability of the workforce was actually referenced by Ofsted in our last inspection, which we actually we took the jump from inadequate in one inspection round, well, a number of inspection rounds, but we're the only one in the whole country to take the leap from inadequate to outstanding. So, you know, it has been fully transformed, and I can't underestimate the impact of coaching within that. It's a kinder place, a more supportive place together for children. People's aspirations are explored as part of our new performance management system that Jenny referred to earlier. And we continue to work with the OCM and training up our first line managers. It's a movable feast, but that partnership continues. And we've also currently exploring action learning and broadening that out to a group coaching to explore some of the continued issues that I guess as public sector workers we all continue to experience. And we also have our own dedicated pool of coaches now. So we've taken it beyond the reporting relationship, whereby our managers are coaching their direct reports, way beyond to the fact that we have this coaching pool now, that people actually approach us and we then designate a coach from a different directorate that they can work with. So we've done that very successfully, and everybody always reports back a positive experience. So there's a testimonial there, people moving away from being fixers towards actually empowering their staff to come up with their own solutions, which I think is a massive benefit of coaching. And as I said, referred to before, the fact that we're moving away from those task-based conversations just solely around performance towards a genuine focus on coaching colleagues to become their best selves at work. So cannot speak highly enough, and always like to reflect on the positive experience that we've had with the OCM.
Thank you, Angela, and thank you, Jenny and Ed, for your part in that presentation as well. And fantastic achievement. Our organisation does support local authorities with the recruitment of social workers as part of our joint venture. I can say that seeing zero on an agency social worker is not something that happens very commonly. But for both presentations, you know, thank you very much. It's great to see you know, the role of coaching and investment in staff to drive different outcomes for both organisations, but usually positive outcomes in terms of, you know, retention and future recruitment. And I wish you all the very best with your submissions. Fantastic. Charlotte, do you offer a question and answer spot, or will those come through in terms of through to you and be responded to?
Yeah, if anybody has any questions that they want to pop in the chat for either Martin or Jenny, Angela and Ed. I know that one person popped something in the chat that Martin's got back to, but if anybody else has any questions before we end, I'm sure everybody would be happy to answer anything that comes through.
Broadly see the screen. Has anyone got any questions?
There's just a lot of praise at the moment, which is very nice.
Thanks, Eliza. Thank you.
I don't think there's any specific questions. Is there anything else from you, Charlotte?
Nothing else from me, Stephen. No. Brilliant. Okay, well, if there's nothing else through, I will let you sign off, Stephen.
Brilliant. Well, thank you all for attending. Thank you to both presenting parties. Martin, thank you obviously lone soldier at your end and a team at the other. But thank you, Angela, Jenny, and Ed, for your presentation as well. And again, wishing you all the very best with your submissions.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.